incur losses. Now one of them is the online business, and that's to do with blogs and of course now there is the news about Yahoo shutting down Alta Vista and also shutting down Delicious bookmarks and things like that. At least actually looking for a buyer to basically not shut down the service but to pass it to somebody else because they've been shutting down lots of services. And this shows you Yahoo, by the way, has lots of managers who came from Microsoft into the company. Lots of people don't actually want to think about that. But if you look, they actually find that lots of the people who are running Yahoo right now used to work in Microsoft before they kind of took over the company from the inside entries. And what happens with Yahoo and Microsoft is they cannot cope online too well with many of the services that being challenged by Google, which also has very good control over the advertising, has a good model, how to monetize the traffic. But the other thing with Microsoft, they cannot do phones too well. And a person who works for Red Hat, he posted yesterday a very interesting comment, which he passed along about how Microsoft is using the designs of Android phones in all sorts of companies that make Android phones. They use the designs from the Android phones and put Windows on top of the same phones, which kind of makes you think, oh, hold on, what about patents? Don't they kind of rip off the Android phones and just put their own platform on it? Because they like to accuse Android of, stealing from Windows or, having a debt to bomb or whatever. They actually copy lots of things from other companies, maybe at least on the hardware side. So,
Yeah, I mean, it would be very interesting. And I remember I was a big fan of the TV series, sci-fi series Sliders, where a chap went to alternate parallel universes. And it would have been very interesting for me, certainly, to see what would have happened if WordPress, say, hadn't offered all the Microsoft bloggers such an easy migration path to get their blogs onto WordPress from being Microsoft hosted.
Do you know who approached who about?
I don't.
I suppose Microsoft went to them because WordPress is not supposed to, Automatic is the name of the company, is not supposed to know before Microsoft that there are some people who would lose their territory. So I suppose Microsoft was looking for a fallback or for a cushion for people who were actually using the service. Of course, they claim to have had a 30 million, users, and put it in quotes, because lots of them were spam blogs, and some, I think Joe Wilcox was the one estimating only like 1% of them actually being alive, or was it 1%?
Well, it was some low figure, but I mean, you just had to look. I mean, I still look at some of the blogs, used to, that were hosted with live spaces, and the comment section were packed full of spam, and it wasn't until recently that there was a purge, which improved slightly, but you compare it to a WordPress blog, and there was no comparison. And I don't know who approached it. I would assume Microsoft approached WordPress, and in my opinion, they were damn lucky that WordPress was so willing to help them, because I think it would have been very embarrassing for Microsoft, who must have had quite a few bloggers, whatever figure that is, and it would have been very embarrassing for them should WordPress have said, no, we're not helping you.
I think it's part of the whole thing. Nobody gets fired for buying from Microsoft. Microsoft wants to preserve the illusion that if you buy from Microsoft, you can have you always have somebody to take care of you, and nobody will throw you out and throw your data away. Although, I should say, with DRM, they've done it plenty of times, at least twice, and I think 3 times now. People buy music from Microsoft using DRM from, using the Windows type of DRM, proprietary DRM of some sort, and not being able to play the songs that they paid for, that they bought. You can no longer play your songs because the services shut down, the service by which you're supposed to get the permission to play the songs that you have, supposedly purchased. So Microsoft has a way of also occasionally trying to find fallbacks. If you remember, they were approaching one of the main competitors when they shut down Microsoft Money, which is the financial. You probably don't want to leave your customers with their financial data hanging in the air. So they were even going to their direct rival and trying to make sure that their customers could actually migrate to the rival, just so that the customers will not get the illusion that they have been left stuck in the Microsoft proposition. Anyway, the thing you find more and more now, and I haven't been keeping track of all the services and products being shut down at Microsoft, and what I will try to do over Christmas, because I don't tend to celebrate holidays in general. I know I don't have any religious belonging of any sort. So what I probably plan to do during Christmas is to look back at the past almost 2 months of headlines of Microsoft, not all of them, but trying to sort them by filters and trying to look at all the services Microsoft has shut down and I haven't been keeping track of. So one of the things I intend to find, and I probably will find, is that they also shut down another based on the average, about 6 services in the duration that I haven't been looking at Microsoft News. And I will try to update my list of about 60 services that have been shutting down over the past 2 to 3 years. And what you will find in many of these cases, or in the majority of these cases, people who are using these products were left stranded, basically, because they had chosen the wrong. Some of them didn't choose, some of them were just using whatever was available on the platform, or just bought some product and had a Microsoft thing on it. And some developers actually suffered the most in many of the cases for 2 reasons. Some of them actually have an application that they target in a specific platform. And once the platform dies, even though their program is still being developed and it's still fine, there is nobody to use that. That's why lots of people don't target the Windows Phone 7 platform. The other thing is the people who are, one thing is people who target a platform. The other thing is people who are relying on parts of the stack, things like Silverlight, for example. So if a person develops for a certain API and the API is becoming deprecated, you've basically wasted your skills. You've wasted your libraries might not work. Your work is not going to be portable to any of the platforms. So,
Yeah, it's well, what I suggest, because we've spoken about our topics longer than we anticipated. We were going to do a section on another section on Microsoft and lobbyists, and there was a couple of topics I wanted to bring up as well. But what I'd ask now, we look to wrap up today and do that other part of the show as maybe a supplement tomorrow. Yeah. And the reason I say that is because, unfortunately, and I'll give this for the benefit of the listeners who don't know my background, but I'm speaking to you on a computer in the bedroom, and my wife wants to go to sleep, and she won't be able to go to sleep with my dulcet tones rattling on. So I've been given the look for her to say, well, she wants me off here. So what I suggest is we wrap this up for today. Tomorrow we'll cover this as a supplement to whatever show. Hopefully we'll be able to speak with Gordon, and maybe Gordon will be back on tomorrow. But failing that, there'll be a show anyway. And we'll cover some of the topics that we didn't get around to today. In the UK, I don't know about anywhere else, but it's still in Bedfordshire especially. We've got about a foot of snow outside my window. Everything's ground to a halt. And I believe up where you are, Roy, it's probably about the same. So it's a very cold evening, -3 down here tonight.
So Julian, the sun speaking outside in the snow, I think that's been quite an international spectacle.
Yeah.
Outside, so I think people kind of know the situation.
And of course, in the UK, we're not like any other country. When we get snow in the UK, unlike any other place in the world, we grind to a complete standstill. So on that note, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go downstairs, stoke the fire. But before that, I'll introduce you back over to Roy so he can give out the details for the show's ending track. Yeah,
well, we try to put a different track at the end of every show, and today's track is called Paper Gown, and I'll put the links in the show notes.
Small town stars shine bright for a day. The moon lights up a watery grave. Woods move in the nighttime breeze that lives from the lake through the trees. On the night that defined my name, fantasy or monster, you say. Watch my boys ride the incline down, all for a paper gown. Long ago I used to be a little girl on my daddy's knee. Dreams lie like diamond rings, babies and pretty watch my car.